Vuyisile Mamokgwe, a homeless serial rapist in Bloemfontein, was finally tracked down after 6 years on the run. Sergeant Anny Peter, a police officer at the Mangaung Family Violence, Child Protection and Sexual Offences Unit, was tasked with finding the suspect who had no ID, no address, and a vague physical description. The suspect was linked to 4 cases of rape where he raped minors. So how was the suspect tracked down after 6 years? Let's bring in Sergeant Anny Peter for more on this. Sergeant Peter, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. Can I first start off here? How do you feel with all of the attention that you're currently receiving following that article from the Sowetan? I remember when Naledi came across the story, that is my co-anchor, she was blown away, and also speaking about how tenacious you were in trying to find the suspect. And unfortunately, she's not here today to have this interview with you, but I want to find out why.
With all the attention I received, I was so happy, not just myself, the community I serve was so happy, the victims I helped, they were so happy. So yeah, I couldn't even describe my emotions.
Yeah, you can't describe the emotions. Are you signing autographs?
Yes, they can come in.
They can come in. Yes. Yeah, because the thing is that the story is so incredible because it speaks about the patience, how tenacious you were, as we've indicated, but also the driving force behind it. And I remember when we were doing the paper run, I asked myself, why? Why were you so devoted to this particular case? And maybe you are devoted to other cases as well. But this one, where there is a homeless person, no ID, how were you even able to get to track him down? But before we get to how you're able to track him down, let's deal with why this case was so important for you.
This case was so important to me because it involves 4 young ladies in Free State, Bloemfontein, whereby they were harassed by this monster. So I had to take it into a very serious consideration because it took me back where I was 13 years old. I got raped by my uncle several times. So it brought back all the memories and the trauma. So when I was allocated this docket, I said to myself, this is the chance that I can be a voice to these little girls.
Mm. And I'm so sorry to have to take you back to that period when you were 13-year-old. Can you speak to us what happened during that particular period? But also how that has impacted the person that you have eventually become?
I think what happened to me, I will take it as a builder because after that, I've noticed that I'm a very strong person and I have capacity to overcome each and every obstacle that comes my way. It has also taught me to be on my toes when I'm faced with challenges. So yes, I feel very proud of myself.
Yeah, and understand that at the time when you were facing this violation from your uncle, there were family members around. Your dad wasn't around, we understand. But from the family members' side, did they come to your aid? Did they believe you?
Yeah, they did believe me, but they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. That is why I said I must come to this unit and help the victims, be their voice, and stand up for them. Yeah. Because nobody stood up for me, but I have forgiven them. I have forgiven them.
You have forgiven them. And I guess that would also then influence, as you say, being part of this particular unit. But then comes the question around justice and what justice looks like for somebody like yourself and like the 4 women as well, or children at the time who were raped by this individual.
When I received this case, I only have DNA results from I only had the pictures of the suspect and the names of the suspect. So it was very difficult for me to track the suspect down. I had to go first and trace the victims to make sure that they are still alive and they are still willing to continue with the case. Luckily, because I'm this innovative person, I had to go to our social medias to can trace them. I had to go to other stakeholders that we are working together with, whereby successfully I tracked them down, and 4 of them, they were still alive, but unfortunately not in good condition psychologically and emotionally. So when I received them, I was so touched, and I had to assure them that I will get the suspect. I think 2 of them, they didn't believe me, because you can imagine a case that was reported, the first case that was reported in 2017, 2019, 2022, 2023, and nothing, according to them, nothing was done by the police. But it also gave me that thing of saying they were very patient with the state and the NPA as one of our stakeholders.
Yeah, and in that search, looking for this homeless person, you don't have an ID, you just have a name. There's a point where you went to a dumping site. Tell us about what happens there at the dumping site.
The suspect was arrested, was apprehended next to a dumping site here in Bloemfontein, together with my TRT members. These are the people that usually assist us with apprehending suspect, our wanted suspect. Each and every now and then, when we want them, they are always on board to make sure that these perpetrators are apprehended. So we used our investigative methods to can go and apprehend this suspect. And after arresting him, I had to arrest him and detain him, make sure that I charge him, make sure that he appears before the court of law. And then subsequent to that, I made sure that I go and oppose bail successfully. From that day where he was arrested, he was in detention up until the day that he was convicted.
Yeah. And when it dawned upon him, this is now Vuyisile Mamokgwe, that you have now been stopped in your tracks, the police have now pounced, and you are being arrested on these allegations of rape. What was his response?
Mamokgwe is a very, very, very hard. He doesn't have, I don't know, he doesn't show any remorse. And one thing that I loved about him, he told me, Sergeant Peter, I know this is the end of the road. When I charged him, he said to me, this is the end of the road. I'm going to comply with each and everything that you want from me. I will make sure that I answer truthfully to each and everything that you are going to ask. And I said, I'm going to charge you with 4 cases of rape. In fact, I didn't say 4 cases. I said, I'm going to charge you with cases of rape. And then how much do you think these cases might be? He said, let me say 15. And I said, 15, it can be. So to my mind, it came to that point of saying, this was the monster that was hiding inside our villages, inside our locations, harassing young women. And some of them, it gave me the impression that some of them, they didn't even open cases. Because if in my hand I'm having these 4 cases, it's obvious that the 11 cases are still outstanding. So he confessed to me of each and every incident that I was put upon him. And then I also arranged a ID parade with my officers at work, whereby all the victims were called upon to can identify the suspect. All the victims positively identified this monster. Subsequent to that, I took the docket to court for court to continue the prosecution. He was arrested in July. In August, he was in court, and then now he was convicted this year on the 30th of August.
Yeah. You say a bit earlier on that he didn't show remorse.
At first, he didn't show remorse because I think it's because I'm a woman. But he didn't think I will put such evidence in front of him. So even when I told him that I'm going to charge him for cases that he committed of rape, he was smiling. You can imagine you are sitting with 4 dockets in front of you of a very serious crime. And as a Free State province, we are having a very serious cases of GBV. And then you are sitting with someone who is suspected of committed rape cases, and then he smiles in front of you. So I think he undermined me of being, maybe he said, no, this one I will just run smoothly with him.
Sure. And then the sentencing, do you know how many years?
The sentencing, it was given by Mrs. Parks in the Bloemfontein Magistrate Court on the 30th of August 2024, whereby the accused person was convicted to 32 years of imprisonment. And mind you, here we were looking at 4 life imprisonment because of the evidence that I produced in front of the magistrate court. So I think that his lawyer advised him to can plead guilty because he knows and he was sure that the court is going to be lenient to him.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is 32 years, and it's only based on the 4 dockets that you speak about. There are perhaps 11 other young women out there who are victims of Vuyisile, because when you spoke to him, he estimated around 15 cases. Do you know what happened to the 11 other cases? Has anyone of the victims come forward, especially now also following this coverage that has been done by the Sowetan?
So far, I have been going out with my commanders. I have been getting assistance from my provincial head, Brigadier Els, and my station unit commander, Colonel Siye, in assisting in tracing down these victims. We're going through, we're doing awarenesses, we're doing, door-to-door campaigns in terms of telling this community of ours that we love so much to can come forward and report case. Even if it's a cold case, yes, it can stand. I have very good conviction whereby suspects were convicted successfully after the case was reported after a very long time.
Yeah. As we conclude this conversation, Sergeant Peter, what would you like to say to the public in general when it comes to gender-based violence and the impact that gender-based violence has, especially on women, and what it means for the families that they're trying to build?
You know, what I usually say as a woman, taking off my ranks, taking off my uniform, I always tell women, like I always attend awarenesses, I always attend these women's shows and everything. I'm always invited in such events. I always tell them that they must stop this victimization of women. They must support each other, more especially these victims of GBV. We have seen and we have proven, it was proven that indeed our province is having a problem of GBV cases. So let's not turn the blind eye. When you see something bad happening, the least that you can do is to report and stand up for each and everyone in this country. It's not our duty as police officials to can crack down all these cases. We are seeing cases coming in each and every day, horrible cases, but it's happening inside our locations and we know about this, but we are not reporting. And the only thing that I can also ask from our community, we have a very, very good communication with our community so far. So let's keep on doing it up until we defeat this monster in our country. I think at the last point we are going to be winners. We can't leave any stone unturned, but we can do it alone as police officials.
Sergeant Anny Peter, thank you so much for your time. I believe that you're an inspiration to a lot of people out there. And also victims of gender-based violence. And I guess you also show the resilience that sometimes is required to carry on living. Truly appreciate your time and appreciate the work that you're doing for South Africa. That is a Sergeant Anny Peter, police officer, who managed to track down a homeless person who was a serial rapist. And as you heard there, he estimated that he would get around 15 cases that would be investigated by the police, but he was convicted on 4 cases.